The Supreme Court vacancy created by the death of Antonin Scalia remains unfilled while President Obama's nominee Merrick Garland awaits hearings that have yet to materialize. And all of this is happening in the shadow of a presidential election, the outcome of which will almost certainly have a profound impact on the future makeup of the court. The annual On the Docket Supreme Court Preview panel addressed these topics and more. The panel's analysis provides the focus for this edition of Rewind.
For the past 8 years, we have hosted this annual panel with the Woodrow Wilson Center. This year, we are excited to welcome a new co-host, American University, Washington College of Law.
Here in the United States, we do take great pride in our system of government, built upon the respect for the rule of law, or as President Eisenhower said during the battle over the integration of Central High School in Little Rock, we are a nation in which laws, not men, are supreme. The iconic and enduring symbol of that commitment remains the U.S. Supreme Court. When you consider the current court vacancy and the potential for more in the coming years, all this happening in a crucial election year, we might expect that the court will be a topic of particular focus as we move closer to Election Day.
I'd like to just get some of your thoughts on the recently concluded term of the Supreme Court. If there are any cases of particular significance you'd like to highlight, or any other things that are happening behind the scenes that you think are noteworthy. There's the obvious 800-pound gorilla of the death of Antonin Scalia.
Once it became clear that Republican senators were unwilling to do their jobs and give the president's nominee to fill that vacancy a hearing and a vote, there was a lot of question about whether the court could function with just 8 justices. Some of the justices tried to suggest that it wasn't that big a deal. Justice Ginsburg, always very candid in her comments, noted that 8 is not a good number for a multi-member court. The court was unable to resolve some of the biggest cases before the court last term, including, most notably, I think, the U.S. v. Texas immigration case, where we had, a nationwide injunction blocking this immigration initiative. This is the key kind of case where you need the Supreme Court to rule, so you don't have a single district court judge making law for the entire nation, and the court was unable to rule because it split evenly.
In cases like this, when the larger context, the passion, the anger, the around race and justice in the United States currently, how either sensitive to that context are the justices or immune to those larger context feelings and issues are the justices?
One reason why there are so many passions, why there is this national conversation, is because there's a sense that, everyone has that race shouldn't be playing a role in the way that, people are judged at trial. They shouldn't affect the way that they're sentenced. I mean, this is, goes back to the Constitution itself. This is why, we have a Sixth Amendment that promises an impartial jury, why we have the 14th Amendment. People are supposed to be judged based on the evidence presented at trial and what they did, and not based on the color of their skin.
And it's hard to articulate limiting principles. And so in one sense, the 8-member court may actually make it, in some sense, more conducive to write a decision in these sort of cases than it otherwise would be when you're trying to sort of stake out ground, where if you can find a majority to coalesce around a very narrow principle that, death is different, and when you have explicit statements about race affecting that decision, that's an extraordinary circumstance, and in the jury context.
Give us some insight on what do you expect, what are some of the more likely outcomes for the future of this court, whether it involves the fate of Merrick Garland or what a court might look like under a Clinton presidency or a Trump presidency.
So if I were betting, I would bet that Hillary Clinton will make a Supreme Court nomination or Donald Trump on January 21st or 22nd, and that person will not be confirmed in time to sit in oral arguments in the coming Supreme Court term. We will go all the way through the end of arguments in April with 8 justices.
If it's Donald Trump, it's not going to be Merrick Garland, so we know where we're headed there, and he's got an ever-growing list of 21 justices that he would nominate. If it's Clinton, however, all the talk about so much that she has to do, forming a cabinet, everything else, so likely that she gets some more Supreme Court nominations, even if she only serves 4 years, the great likelihood that she would see a Ginsburg or a Breyer retirement during that time. It just seems logical that Merrick Garland would still be the odds-on favorite.
For more on this and related topics, visit wilsoncenter.org. And for more on law-related topics, visit americanbar.org and click on Division for Public Education.